Welcome to part 1 of our 3-part series, Discovering the Creation of the Universe and the Divine. Interview with Dr. Alan Lightman. Dr. Lightman is a distinguished physicist and a professor at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, in Cambridge, Massachusetts, USA. He is also an international best-selling author whose books include Three Flames, The Accidental Universe, The World You Thought You Knew, and Einstein's Dreams. Dr. Lightman is the founder and chairman of the Harpswell Foundation, an organization that helps to empower women in Southeast Asia. Dr. Lightman has conducted extensive research on the correlation between science, philosophy, and spirituality, and his work encompasses the teachings of many religions. On today's program, he explains the difficulty of proving God's existence through scientific means.
The question of whether science can prove or disprove the existence of God, and whether the instruments that we have built are detecting some energy or force that represents God. I think this really depends upon your definition of God. Throughout history, different groups of people, different religions, different cultures have had different views of God. One view of God is called pantheism, and this view might be the same as in Taoism in China, that God is all of nature. And if you have this view of God, then God is everywhere around us all the time. So it really depends upon what your understanding of God is. If you have the view that God is an intelligent being who created the universe, I think that God cannot be proved or disproved by science, because science can never say exactly what created the universe. Even if physicists can have a theory of quantum gravity which shows how the universe came out of a quantum fluctuation before the Big Bang, then what created the laws of physics? We can never know. So I think that particular view of God as a being that created the universe is one that science cannot prove or disprove, meaning that we have to take our belief in God as a matter of faith. On the other extreme, if you have a view of that God is present in all of nature, then with that view of God, everything that we see is proof of God. Just breathing the air, seeing the sun, seeing the stars, falling in love, all of that would be proof of God with that particular definition of God.
Science seeks to explain the universe and other physical phenomena through various tests and experiments using fundamental laws or principles. But some phenomena are inexplicable through scientific methods.
There are still many fundamentalist religions that view God as an intelligent being that purposely created the universe, and even that sometimes intervenes to perform supernatural events. I mean, there's supernatural events in Judaism, the parting of the Red Sea; in Islam, the splitting of the moon by Muhammad; there are Christianity, the resurrection of Christ. These are all supernatural events which by definition have a conflict with science.
For many years, scientists have wondered how the stars and the rest of our universe came into being. One theory that many scientists support is the Big Bang Theory, which states that everything started from a singular event and expanded from there. How did this theory first come into being?
In the 1920s, we had evidence that the universe is expanding, and we we saw that the galaxies were all moving away from us, and they were moving at a speed proportional to their distance. That is, galaxies twice as far away were moving twice as fast away from us. And that is exactly the picture that you get if you put dots on a balloon and started blowing up the balloon. From the point of view of each dot, it would appear that all of the other dots are moving away from it, and they would move at speeds proportional to their distance. So that led to the picture of an expanding universe. Now we can take that picture and play it backwards. From the rate at which the universe is expanding now, we can calculate a time in the past when the balloon first began expanding. And that's about 14 billion years ago. So we believe that that was when our universe began. That also agrees with the ages of the oldest stars that we can see through our telescopes. We can actually give ages to stars by their chemical composition, and combining that with our theories of nuclear physics, we can determine how old stars are. Some stars are young and some are old, but the oldest stars have ages that are a few hundred million years old after the Big Bang. So all of that is an agreement, leads us to a theory that the universe began about 14 billion years ago. I should say our universe, because there could be other universes. So there are several independent lines of scientific evidence that suggest that our universe began about 14 billion years ago, an event called the Big Bang. All of the scientific evidence now is the universe will keep expanding forever. Now, 30 or 40 years ago, there were some scientists who did believe that our universe would reach a point of maximum expansion and then would start collapsing and coming back together again. But that theory has been ruled out by observation and evidence.
Intelligent viewers, we'll now take a moment for an important message and be back shortly. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back as we continue our discussion with Dr. Alan Lightman, who will next tell us about string theory. First developed in the 1970s, this theory states that the universe is not solid, but rather made up of vibrating strings of energy that connect and intertwine with one another in every direction.
String theory believes that the smallest elements of nature are not particles, but tiny one-dimensional vibrations of energy. If we could look at the universe at very, very, very tiny scales, then yes, it would be like a big symphony. But the size of one of these strings is billions of times smaller than an atom. It's very, very, very small. So in practice, we would never be able to examine the universe at such a tiny scale. But if we could, yes, we would see that everything is vibrations of energy. We can certainly measure vibrations on larger scales. We can't measure them at these ultra tiny scales because we don't have instruments with enough energy to measure at such tiny scales. But we can measure atoms vibrating at that scale. But when you get much, much smaller than atoms, we do not have sufficient instruments or energies to be able to measure those vibrations.
Is our universe the only one in existence? Not according to scientific theory. In fact, our universe may be only one of many, perhaps even an infinite number of universes. This concept is called multiverse theory.
The multi-universe is a large collection of many, many universes that are out of communication with each other, but each one would have its own laws of physics. Each one would have its own nature. Some of those universes would have life. Some of them would not have life. Some of them would have planets and stars. Other ones would just be pure energy. So a vast range of different properties in the different universes. And physicists believe that the multi-universe exists. Some of our theories suggest that there could be these other universes, but we have no way of proving that because we can't communicate with these other universes.
In a March 6, 2014 speech given at the Concord Bookshop in Concord, Massachusetts, USA, Dr. Lightman further explained this concept.
What we now believe, and we've been forced to this belief for reasons I'll mention, is that our universe is just one of zillions of universes. It's called the multiverse, this concept that there are zillions of other universes. And these other universes have very different properties than ours. Some might have 17 dimensions instead of 3. And some, the speed of light might be the same speed as a turtle instead of very, very fast. And some of these universes might have the conditions that allow for planets and stars to form and life to form. And other of these universes might not have those special conditions that allow stars and planets to form. All of these universes, different universes, start from the same fundamental principles, and yet there are many, many different possibilities.
Many thanks, Dr. Lightman, for sharing your vast knowledge about the science behind the creation of the universe. May you be blessed for your work, which expands and elevates our minds. Kind-hearted viewers, thank you for your company today.